So, ma'am, I'll just start with a brief introduction of what we do at Fashion Law IP blog. So, we are an
Mhm.
academic publication that features insightful articles and analysis on fashion, textiles, IPR, and the emerging legal developments in the
Oh,
fashion field.
mhm,
So, our
mhm.
main aim is to bridge the gap between law, creativity, and commerce, creating a space where students, scholars, professionals can engage in evolving legal dimensions of the fashion world. So, that's pretty much about us.
Oh, okay. And if you don't mind me asking, how did you guys get into it? Like, I'm sure your curriculum would not have anything about fashion law, but how did you like get interested into this field?
Yes, ma'am. So we actually, Manish was the one who took the lead to start Fashion Law IP blog, and then he he asked us or even encouraged us to, do you want to join this platform because we do like this, and
Okay.
we were very excited. And now when we tell our juniors about it, they're also very excited because it's a very something very different from what is taught, as you said, in our universities. Today we are really excited to welcome Diya Mehta ma'am to the Fashion Law IP blog's YouTube channel. Her journey into fashion law is as inspiring as it is unique. She started out with a background in commerce, moved into law at OP Jindal Global University, and eventually went on to earn her LLM in intellectual property rights at the University of Cambridge. Along the way, she also taught as a law professor at Jindal University, sharing her passion for the subject with countless students. She is also the mind behind Your Fashion Law Guide, a platform where her love for research and writing comes alive. Alongside her academic and writing journey, she founded Legal Luxe, a boutique law firm offering tailored legal solutions to global and Indian fashion, luxury, and retail brands. Her work spans IP strategy, brand protection, influencer contracts, and cross border legal issues, making her a trusted expert in the fast growing fashion and luxury space. We are honored to have you with us, ma'am, joining to share insights on fashion and intellectual property.
Thank you. Thanks for the lovely introduction. Hi, everyone. I'm honored to be here today.
So, ma'am, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you became involved with the world of fashion and law?
Okay, I mean honestly, this question is like $1 million question. Everyone asks me this, but I do not have an interesting story behind it. You decide whether or not it's interesting. So honestly, my career into fashion law wasn't planned at all. I didn't grow up knowing that this field existed. I mean, it's like a common knowledge today. Fashion law is not something that is taught in law schools, right?
Yes.
It was just, out of nowhere, one random night, I Google searched about fashion law and I came to know, okay, field like that exists. And it changed the direction of my career path, right? But of course, there is a backstory. What prompted me to make that Google search, right? So I have always been someone who has loved fashion. Okay, it's storytelling, it's culture, and I believe that every garment, it carries history, it carries memory. And ever since I got into law school, I have always enjoyed the structure that law school provide. Okay, when I realized that both these worlds could merge, it felt like an immediate fit, right? But again, that realization changed into curiosity. And I clinged on to that curiosity. What I did was, I studied everything that I could. I read upon it as much as I could. I started writing on topics that no one was even talking about. Then eventually, I went to Cambridge to get my master's with specialization in IP. And slowly and steadily, I built my practice through my law firm, Legal Luxe, and my platform, Your Fashion Law Guide. So, fashion law, long story short, fashion law was not just a decision, it was a moment when I feel that the two sides of me could finally meet. So, that is what I and fashion law collided. Mm.
Yes, ma'am. It's an interesting story, and also we can see your love for fashion in the way you write the blogs and also the posts that you put up, which is very interesting to read, honestly, and something which we cannot actually get in our law schools, like in the
Correct,
traditional universities in India.
correct,
Yes.
correct.
Okay. So, ma'am, the next question is, what fascinates you most about the legal industry, fashion industry from a legal standpoint?
See, honestly, for me, I think that fashion, if you talk about fashion, no, fashion is layered, right? So, usually, Normal people just see what? Glamorous side of fashion, the runways, the campaigns, and whatnot. What we
Yes.
miss is what goes behind the scenes. Okay, there's this entire ecosystem that is working, that comes together to make this industry flourish. Okay, there are contracts going on, behind the scenes. There's IP, there are sustainability issues, then there are labor laws, then there are advertising, consumer laws, and commerce, and now even tech, right? So
Yes.
fashion, I believe it's emotional, it's cultural, and it's deeply human. So, what law does, it's a structure that brings all these pieces together. And what gets me hooked to fashion is that this industry is like ever evolving, right? With every change in consumer behavior, with every change in the style trend, and a new technological development, there is a new legal question. Okay, and no 2 days look the same. I assure you, no 2 days look the same because you would know that. See, for example, let's take technology. NFTs, metaverse, it was so unheard of. And because of this new technological development, obviously fashion industry had also had an impact. And there are so many new legal questions that are, coming up every day. We do not have answers to. So of course I am hooked to it. Of course I want answers. And my curiosity that I talked about in your previous question, it's just like it acts like, fuel into the
You.
fire. Yeah. So I'm hooked and I'm here for the game and I'm here for long. So that's what I know for sure.
Ma'am, you're making sounds, making like unknown sound so much better. Like, how in law school we are like know so much of things going on at the same time. But okay, moving on to the next question. When we talk about fashion law, so what does it actually include, ma'am? So how do you explain to someone who isn't actually from a law background or from a fashion background?
Okay, so what I usually do now, I find this question very interesting. And I usually explain it through an analogy. This is an analogy that I also stick to during my workshops. Okay. I say that you need to take fashion law as a wardrobe. Okay. And your legal subjects like IP, contracts, labor laws, advertising laws, consumer laws, environmental laws as your legal outfits. Okay. And when you put these outfits thoughtfully into your wardrobe, it creates this fashion law wardrobe. Okay. So, fashion law is not any single subject, it's a curated mix. Okay. It's an entire full ecosystem. And of course, there are a lot of, myths surrounding it. Most people think that it's very niche area. When I started with it, a lot of people came to me that, are you okay choosing an area that as niche as fashion law? Do you think there is much of a future in it? It's not niche, it's multidisciplinary. There are layers to it. The legal outfits that I told you about, which come together to create that wardrobe, there is so much to it, right? It's not any niche or a specific field. And secondly, another myth that relates to it, mostly people think that, fashion law relates just to IP. I mean, sure as hell that IP is the backbone of fashion industry and fashion law, to be more specific. But there's so much to it, right? So these
Yes.
myths need to be busted. People need to be made aware that, okay, fashion law has way more to it than you can even imagine. So yes, your wardrobe consists of lot of legal outfits.
So well put, ma'am. So beautifully put. So, ma'am, coming on to the next question, how does intellectual property help protect creativity in fashion, like design fabrics or brand identity of a label?
See, IP, of course, as I said, it is the backbone of the fashion industry, right? It helps protect and convert your creativity into a right. Okay. It tells the world that, this design, this brand identity, this pattern belongs to someone. And we know that trademark law does this well, right? It protects your logo, your brand name, your identity, right? But IP is also not perfect. Okay. Especially when it comes to copyright laws and design laws, they need reform because knockoffs, for example, it's something that often spills through the cracks, right? Of course, now there is an argument that knockoffs see democratizes fashion. It makes it accessible. It makes it cheaper. And then there is this argument that, this argument of piracy paradox, like copying makes the fashion cycle move faster and it's actually good. But what we ignore is the cost behind it, the hidden cost behind it, the environmental cost, the human cost, and even the creative cost for that matter, right? I mean, when we say that knockoffs democratize fashion, do we take into account what it is even doing to the environment or to the general human cost, right? There are tons of clothes that are being produced every single minute and they end up filling our landfills. The toxins from those clothes contaminate our groundwater and our environment in general. They are made of cheap materials which are non-biodegradable. It takes thousands of years to break those particles. Nobody is taking account of that. And I don't know how many of the people out there knows about the Rana Plaza tragedy, right? Now, in that tragedy, that three-storied building had factories running for all these fast fashion houses, right? 1,300 people lost their lives because the building was in poor condition. And for them, profits mattered more than human life. Okay? Nobody is taking into account all that cost. And IP has the solution. All we have to do is we have to curb the knockoffs, especially when it comes to mass production of clothes, right? We can actually control it through IP. So as I said, IP law is not perfect. Sure, it protects creativity, but we need stronger laws that are implemented properly so that your creativity, designers creativity, is protected thoroughly. But we also want this industry to grow ethically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there should be a balance of both.
Of course, of course. See, I mean, yes, trademark law is doing wonders for the industry, okay? It does what it promises. But copyright laws and design laws also have so much potential, right? Of course, okay. So when I said, as I said, like piracy paradox says that, copying, how designers, like top-notch designers also like somehow that, the designs are being copied. That means they are sought after, but we do not think about the repercussions behind it. The high end designers might like it, but a small designer might not. Someone who is just starting might not like that his designs are just like copied blatantly and then mass produced suddenly. The creative cost behind that, nobody is factoring in it, right? So we need to understand the other side of the coin as well, and accordingly, we need reforms. So that is what my opinion is. That is the school of thought that I come from.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. So moving on to the next question. So a lot of people see fashion as just about style or trends, right? So why do you think an understanding of the law is becoming so much important for people working in the fashion industry today?
See, honestly, like, what I believe is fashion today is not just limited to design, as you said, right?
Yes.
There is so much more to it, right? If I were to be a fashion designer, obviously I would just be bothered with the creative side of it. This line I need to introduce, yeah, line I need to sketch and everything. But as a designer, as a business owner, I really need to understand the intricacies also behind it. Throughout the process, there are contracts involved, right? From sourcing the raw materials to outside outsourcing the manufacturing process to even marketing my line, fashion line, I would need contracts, right? Contract law defines relationship between two parties, right? Every stage I get into business with someone else to make my own business flourish, I will need to enter into contract, right? Be it a supplier contract, manufacturing contract, and even influencers contract, influencer collaboration contracts, right? A. B. As a fashion designer, if tomorrow I want to do something to for the environment or for my ESG compliance only, I want to introduce an environmental friendly clothing line, right? I cannot go around making, claims like, hey, listen, my fashion line is eco-friendly. Okay, because going around making wrong claims is not just bad press anymore, right? it will attract some legal liability towards me because sustainability laws come into being, right?
Yes.
Then comes your labor laws. I should know how much I am supposed to pay my carigars at the end of the day, right? Then there are advertising laws as well. So there is so much to it. And if you do not understand the law, you don't understand your rights. If you don't understand your rights, you lose the control on your own business. So I feel that understanding the law is part of understanding your business. Every designer, every manufacturer, every person into this industry need to understand the law behind it to be able to flourish fully, is what I believe.
That was so well put, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, so ma'am, moving on to the next question. What do you think are the emerging legal challenges of the fashion industry today?
Honestly, there are so many. Okay, there are so many and few solid ones to name. Okay, as I said, sustainability, right? Sustainability and greenwashing is a thing now, okay? Especially with European jurisdiction and greenwashing directive, they
Mhm.
are coming with some solid laws out there that you cannot go around making these, like, extravagant claims that, hey, listen, my line is eco-friendly, it's green. It needs to be backed with the proof, right? We
Yes.
know, we have seen how with H&M there was this
Mhm.
entire controversy behind its
The
so-called
sustainability.
conscious collection, right? And then people started asking questions that even if I'm paying more than your normal line clothes, are these clothes actually conscious? Are these clothes actually beneficial for the environment?
Yes.
There was this controversy with Nike. Nike introduced this whole line with 120 clothes.
Mhm.
Two clothes out of this entire line were only clothes that had some cotton blend and organically sourced blend. Otherwise, the entire line was polyester made, and Nike went around claiming that it's an eco friendly line. So, where do we draw the line? See, so sustainability issues, I believe, in today's day and age are a big part of the fashion industry. And law here comes into being, right? Then, second, again, I believe counterfeits, right? So,
Mhm.
this counterfeit industry is driving the fashion industry crazy, I would believe. I don't know if you remember, very recently after US China tariff war, there was
Yes.
this entire TikToks going viral that, these Hermes bags are,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, so these bags are made in the Chinese factory. You
Mhm.
source from us directly. Why do you have to pay many fold, so much price for the real deal from the store, right? But people forgot to ask what if what we are seeing are actually fakes. And I also have friends who tell me that, listen, why do you need to pay, say, 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs for a bag when you can get a first copy, second copy for peanuts? Because counterfeits does not only mean that I'm infringing upon someone else's right, or, counterfeit does not only mean that the industry is going to incur so much financial losses. What normal people fail to understand that counterfeits also mean that the proceeds that come from counterfeits are used to fund illegal activities.
Yes.
You name it, drug trafficking, human trafficking, terrorist attacks, all these proceeds are going for the most illegal stuff out there. Normal people, when told this, would not want to become part of it.
Yes.
I believe today, people, if you cannot afford it, it's fine. There are so many wonderful homegrown designers out there doing beautiful work. Okay. So, first copy, second copy, calling out a fake is actually the most powerful thing that you can do, right?
Yes.
So, yes, sustainability, counterfeits. Now there's AI generated content as well now.
Yes.
Where to draw the line? Who is the real owner of the design? Then the issue that I would say, cultural heritage, cultural appropriation, and cultural appreciation. So there are so many issues, new emerging issues that coming up with the fashion law. I think that industry is in the transitional stage, and law just needs to catch up.
Mm. Law is not there yet where the industry
Not
is at.
not there. Yeah, of course, our laws are still very traditional, and now we have so many upcoming new issues. I think law also needs to step up. and give answers, not just answers, but also anticipate what is next to come.
Yes, ma'am. So coming to the traditional appreciation and the appropriation part, the next question is, how does
Mhm.
the commercialization of traditional art and culture impact local artisans and indigenous communities?
I think it impacts them deeply. I have seen it closely. See, when a global company commercializes cultural heritage without giving them, say, due recognition and financial benefit, they not only lose income, but they also lose their craft. Right? We have seen examples. We have seen what happened with the Kolhapuri
Yes.
chappals. We have seen how our Banarsi work and embroidery are, blatantly used by the so-called global brands out there. Right. So I feel that we need to understand that there needs to be a process, there needs to be a system to recognize them, to provide them with financial compensation, to give them acknowledgement and appreciation that they deserve. Because once we appropriate stuff from somebody's other's culture, because I don't know if you remember with the entire Scandinavian scarf thing, right? Every designer had that dress with the pearl scarf, which is a dupatta in our culture, right? And everyone was hailing it, right? And it felt so bad because when West do it, it's cool. When we do it, it's tacky.
Yes.
And that's exactly where the line between cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation becomes razor thin. Again, law has answers. Law can do wonders. Law can draw that line, right? It can do that. And once that is done, law can make sure that again our artisans, they're respected, they're acknowledged, they're appreciated, and they are also given the recognition and financial benefit that they deserve.
Okay, ma'am, so coming to the next question, do you think India is taking the right steps towards building a stronger legal system to protect traditional crafts and indigenous designs?
I believe yes. Somehow, see, GI tags are becoming very prominent. They are helpful. But again, law needs to catch up. Laws are traditional, they have become obsolete, and we need to come up with new laws. I don't know if you kept up with what the latest development with Prada Kolhapuri
Yeah,
Chappals. They have now signed a memorandum of
memorandum.
understanding. Prada has now signed memorandum of understanding with the local bodies here in India, and according to that MOU, our artisans from Maharashtra and Kolkata are going to use the craft to help build this line for Prada, and the craft that has been passed on from generations to generation. I think that step is a step in the right direction. But again, we have long way to go because we cannot be stuck into this loop every time a global brand ends up doing something. We notice on social media, everyone, there's an outcry, there is a huge outburst happening on Instagram and whatnot. See, this belongs to our culture, how shameless, what what belongs to us and our sentiments, which we sell for like what, 200, 500,000 bucks. The other person is marketing it for 80,000, 90,000 rupees without even giving due recognition, without even acknowledging, without even giving the credit that, listen, this is what inspired us. That's what it takes, right? But without doing any of it, and then we get into this entire loop, this process. Only after, the limit is crossed, the global brand decides, acha, theek hai, now let's sign the MOU.
Yes.
See, this is not how it should be. Now I'm saying, yeah, okay, good step in the right direction. Prada came forward, signed this MOU, but what did it take for Prada to reach there? If law was in the place, Prada would have done what it did now, way before the line came into picture. So
Yes.
see, law can do wonders. We need our laws to, keep up. Mm.
Yes. Oh, ma'am,
Oh,
also about how you talked like when you told us about like are you keeping up with the Prada thing? So I was keeping up with the Prada thing on your platform itself. I
okay.
used to look up through your posts and oh, this is going on. Like yes.
Yeah.
So the next question is with the rise of digital fashions, NFTs, and the AI generated designs, how do you think the idea of authorship and originality is evolving today?
See, authorship, the idea of entire authorship has changed with the whole 360-degree. It doesn't just now, authorship doesn't mean who sat down and designed that particular sketch anymore. Okay? Authorship is about the collaboration between human intention and machine assistance, right? The question is no more about who created this. The question is who contributed what, right? With all your digital outfits, your avatar outfits, right? Your AI generated design. Now, these are real assets. And law will sooner or later, have to answer the questions like who owned the designs, right? How do you measure originality? How will rights transfer into virtual world? Okay, these are some real genuine questions that we need to answer with the evolving times, right? See, as I always say, that fashion industry is evolving every season. The law cannot still operate it as if it's 2005.
Mm.
Yeah. So there are too many questions that we still don't know answers to. And of course, the answers are with the implementers of law, right? The policy makers, they have to sit down, they have to, you know, make these laws, and only then the courts will deliberate on what means what, and then we will have all the answers. But the harsh reality is now with the AI generated content and metaverse, there are so many unique questions nobody has answers to. And sooner or later, we will need those answers.
Ma'am, if you think like we can introduce some sort of academic courses even in the law schools, will it help with, you know, about the idea of authorship or all the revolving ideas that are coming into being?
Of course, I believe that, when I started, if I'm being completely honest, there was barely anything on fashion law out there. Barely anything. And if I'm being honest, like people were still contemplating and fighting about the fact whether or not we need this field called fashion law. How we have sports law, how we have media law, does whether fashion industry deserves a separate field altogether. I mean, come on, tell me, this is a $1 billion industry which is having this huge impact on everybody who is part of this world, right? In one form or another. Of course, we need a separate legal field, and of course, we need to educate people about it, not just law students, but general public also, because fashion impacts everyone. Those who are in business, those who are purchasers or admirers of the industry, everybody needs to know what the field entails, right? So, yes, it would be of a huge help if universities come up with, if nothing, electives on fashion law. Last I heard, Jindal did have an elective on fashion law. It very recently introduced one. Uh, QMUL in UK has introduced specialization LLM in fashion law. So there are universities, colleges coming up with fashion law courses in one form or another. But I still believe if I'm someone and I honestly want to keep up with whatever is happening in the industry, whatever new is coming up, every time I sit with my laptop and try to look for a course, with be it a month course, be it 6 months course, I find nothing. I
Yeah.
find absolutely nothing. I am here sitting eager to learn more, but I don't have many resources. I will have to go jump from one page to another, from one blog to another, purchase random books to understand what all is going in the industry. But that's the harsh reality.
So coming to the next question, what do you have any recommendation, like one policy recommendation or reform to for the fashion and textile sector?
Oh, too many. If I were to say, I would want a holistic reform. I would want law to tell that okay, this is how counterfeits need to be curbed. This is how knockoffs need to be protected. I would want the law to answer everything about digital fashion. I would like law to demarcate between cultural appropriation and appreciation. I would like law to lay down rules about sustainability claims. Because, see, as I said, Europe is doing it. But when will country like India catch up?
Yes.
Right? And of course, labor laws. Labor laws are something that we ignore so easily without even knowing the human lives that are behind it. They are being made work 24/7 with salary of peanuts in filthy, filthy working conditions. Law needs to keep up. Law needs to make sure that with every trend change, like every week I walk into, for example, Zara, there are new forms of jeans hanging on the hangers. I'm sure as hell workers out there are working day in and day out to make sure that those clothes reach the racks. But who is making sure that they are paid rightly for it?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I also, not just that, I also want consumers to ask questions, right questions. Who made my clothes? Were they paid fairly? How were my clothes made? Right? So I believe reform needs to be there in so many ways, into so many fields. And I think we will catch up
Oh.
slowly but surely.
Okay, ma'am. So the last question. So,
Hmm.
what is the role like an academic platform or initiatives like ours one can play in connecting the gap between law, fashion, industry?
Okay, honestly, I believe when it comes to fashion law, education and awareness provides a foundation, right? Like again, when I also started with my blog, as I said,
Yes.
there was not much information, not many resources out there, and that is exactly why I started writing upon it, creating content upon it, because you cannot become part of this field without knowing about it, right? And that is what your platform is also doing, right? It's telling people about their rights, their responsibilities, and even the opportunities into this field for future aspirant lawyers out there and students out there, right? If someone wants to make even a career into this field, who is educating them? Who is telling them? Law schools are not doing that.
Yeah,
End
definitely.
of the day, it's our platforms that are coming handy, right? So your platform here is also bridging that gap between the industry, the academia, and the aspirants who are on the other side of the bridge. And this bridge did not exist before. It's a very new thing. Okay. It's a very, very new thing. Even if today you open your Instagram or you open your Google and you search about fashion law, you will barely find many platforms out there. And like I have faced it firsthand. Like when I started with my blog, with my Instagram page, there were people who were so confused about what the industry even entail. And even today, I get so many DMs when people are just not sure what industry even means. You know, and there were people who were saying, I don't think fashion law exists. I think it's just IP. Why is she inventing a new field on her own? Because that is the harsh reality, right? People just don't know. But someone needs to, step up and tell people that, okay, this is fashion law and it's as real as it can get. So your platform is doing an amazing job by imparting that education, that awareness. It's much needed. Just one platform would not be able to fulfill that purpose. We need many people to come together and make this real thing more real.
Yes. So, ma'am, do you have any recommendations or something for other platforms or like us, which we can do to improve or, to guide people better or even
I think
just,
just make it relatable, right? We are part of industry. As I said, you say that, oh, I am not. I don't know if you have watched Devil Wears Prada, and
yes,
then when the actor here comes, joins this job, and she tells her, I do not care about fashion. I'm sorry. If you care about fashion, if you don't care about fashion, you are still part of fashion. If you are wearing a piece of clothing, you are part of fashion, right?
yes,
Randomly, when we are walking on roads, we see people carrying her fake. That's so common, right? When you go to Delhi, when you go to Lajpat Market, you go to GK Market, you will find knockoffs and fakes out there randomly, but you do not understand what it is. You do not understand it, but fashion is everywhere. There is something happening everywhere. But you will be able to call a spade only when you know about it. If you know about it, you will be like, this is a fake. This is a knockoff. Do we even need knockoffs? Seriously? So you need to make your content relatable so that people, even if they don't want to listen and even if they are like too cool to admit that they are part of fashion in a way or another, your content should speak to them and tell them that listen, ignore it as much as you can. You are part of it and you need to understand this industry more thoroughly. I'm not saying that you need to be part of like You need to belong to a legal background as a general normal human being. You may be from any background whatsoever. Fashion is part of your life, and you need to accept
Thank you, ma'am, for such a good recommendation.
it. You're most welcome.
Okay, ma'am, just one last question, really the last question. Do you have any resources, like anything that if anybody wants to get into fashion law that they can, you know, go through or take it up or read it or ask someone?
I'm sure. I'm honestly, I would say one thing. I hope I had I had a list, but sadly I don't, because as I said, there is nothing solid out there, right? I could recommend you books, but those books are very expensive. That does not make sense for you guys, who someone who just want who is still figuring out whether or not this field is even for me. Because once you read about upon it, only then you realize, okay, maybe it's a right fit for me. But to get there, you need to invest in a way, right? But I would not want you guys to invest in the form of money, because books out there are very expensive. But yes, there are platforms again, like mine, like yours. Then there is the Fashion Law named Journal, TFL.
Yes.
Yeah. Then there is Business of Fashion. There are tutors. Just I would just say that keep up with the industry, read about it as much as possible. Every day, someone is filing a suit against another person because of a trademark infringement or some other issue. So a lot is happening. You just need to make an effort to Google search.
Okay.
Everything is on Google. Everything. It's just few keys away, right? You just need to type right words and you will be taken to the right platform, right? And it's free. It's free of cost. It will not cost you a penny. So I think if you're curious enough, you will go to, you yourself will want to read upon it, and you will read whatever comes your way. And I think that is enough.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, so much
You're
for your
welcome.
valuable insights. Your answers were so well articulated and it was really relatable.
You're most welcome, guys, and you're doing a wonderful job here with this blog. And I hope you guys, do wonders, and all the best. It was lovely chatting with you all in a way, and I hope I was able to inspire you, and my answers could help you in even like the slightest of the slightest ways.
Yes, ma'am,
Definitely, ma'am.
definitely. Your
Okay, then.
curiosity is so inspiring.
Okay. Thank you. That is
Thank
exactly what I am here to do. So I'm glad that I could inspire you guys, but keep doing what you guys are doing. You're doing a
Thank
wonderful
you,
job out
ma'am.
thank you, ma'am,
there. Okay,
so
guys.
much for
Okay,
joining.
then. All the
Have a
best.
good day.
Okay, and
Thank
stay
you
in
so much,
touch.
ma'am.
You're most
Yeah.
welcome. And stay in touch, guys. I'm always a DM away.